We've talked a lot about story, we've talked a lot about mining. One of the topics that we really wanted to approach was also B2B, B2C. How do we sell jewelry? How is jewelry sold today? In stores, online, through stories. And I have two great guests with me here on stage. Sylvie Arkoun, who is the founder of Les Précieuses, who's also very active on Instagram, a journalist, a storyteller, a marketer. Bravo. Bienvenue, Sylvie. And Muriel Piaser, who also has decades of experience in fashion, in jewelry, selling. You also are the founder of Precious Room in Paris, and you help some of the exhibitors here. So both of you actually have very different expertise, both B2B and B2C, and I wanted to have a conversation with you about this. So thank you so much for accepting to be on stage with me. Now let me find my questions. And I will begin with Muriel because you were most enthusiastic about the vodka, so I think you're ready to start. You've been curating and mentoring jewelry brands for 15, 20, if not more years. For you, what has changed most in B2B and B2C over the last 10, 15 years? And maybe you can also define what B2B and B2C is, because sometimes there's a little bit of confusion.
Yes, thank you, Laurent. Hello, everybody. So, effectively, B2B, it's business to business. So, it's a term that we use concerning the fact to sell to the retailer, the wholesale and retail. So, and B2C, it's a business to consumer. So, it's a direct sales, so that you can do via your e-shop, or you can do via the social network, because today a lot of sales are running across social network, specifically Instagram. So from my point of view, the change is before of course the arrival of the social network, we was more focused in for the brands when they wanted to sell. They were more focused on B2B, because it was the way to have some opening store, to have some fame also. The fame is very important to have the capacity to sell. So, and the direct to consumer was more difficult because it was across the retail that you could access to the final consumer. Now with the social network, specifically Instagram, because a lot of retailers, the buyers go into Instagram first and not specifically into the website. So we have to know that. So now we have two processes that you can combine. You have to work in B2C and B2B. So that's the new mutation, and specifically after the COVID, we will discuss about that, because it's the best way to develop your community and to sell direct to consumer. And if you have your community, you can have the fame and have some retailers. Of course, this kind of trade show is very helpful to find retailers because they are B2B, but it's a work in progress that you can mix between B2C and B2B today.
And it's probably different for every brand, right? If a young jewelry designer comes, for some people it's pure B2B like here, some people might mix it, some people might do B2C. There is not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have the choice today to manage, but at one point, if you are B2C, you would love, at one moment of your business development, Sylvie could explain that better than me, you want to access to B2B. Because if you have top buyers, example, if you have brand that you can sell to Dover Street Market, opening ceremony, in Paris you have Merci Concept Store, example, it helps you to have more on va dire access to your community in Instagram, and to sell more in direct to sales also. Direct
and more
to consumer.
volume, more scale, more
Exactly.
followers, more business.
Exactly.
So Sylvie, you also work with a lot of young and emerging designers. What do you recommend to them? Do you recommend that they come to a trade show, or how can they get their story across? How has this changed? What do you think?
In fact, it's really a question of phase of development, as say Muriel, because now everything is linked. You have to think about coherency and everything between. For me, there is no really a real split between B2C and B2B. You have to have a very coherent reason why, and this reason why is why one day you decided to make jewelry. And if you're clear with that, if you know how to explain to the consumer, to the retailer, to people who work with you, why one day you decide at the beginning to make jewelry, then you have a communication which is efficient, either with retailer or with your final consumer. And this is the beginning, the origin of story. This is what is creating passion through your brand. And this is the reason why having an authentic content is really important. Then for emerging brands, it's always start with a direct-to-consumer experience because you're small, you don't have very often big investment. So you start naturally with your story. And if the story is really authentic and linked with a singularity of your product, then you start to sell. And it's the first step. You prove the desirability of your product. The second step is, okay, do I want to do wholesale, so B2C? And then you can consider coming here in other fairs. And then it's another development, it's another skills, but always based on the reason why you started from the beginning. So
and that doesn't change if it's B2B or B2C. Like the story should be coherent. It should be one story and that should be linked to your brand DNA.
Exactly. The story of origin, we just spoke in the previous conference of very interesting story about Africa and gemstones. And we were all listening to that because it's interesting. It's authenticity. It's story. It's human story. And someone who creates his own jewelry brand, he gives a lot of himself into this adventure. It's an adventure. And he does something which is jewelry. Here you have a lot of jewelry brands. I've been here for 2 days. I'm French. I don't know those brands because they are very, very not well known in France. So the feeling that I have when I walk into the halls is that every brand is the same. Because, it's huge and then I get the feeling that jewelry is a commodity. But if you want to sell jewelry, you have to sell something that is different than a product. You have to sell your story, your conviction, the reason why.
So Muriel, you found a precious room and we have a picture here. What is the concept of precious room? Why is it necessary to have it? And my question would be, what makes a brand stand out today? There is so much noise, so much competition. What does a young or existing brand need to have so that retail buyers come and buy?
Yes. So first, the first, on va dire, process is the passion. For me, I'm also working with passion since so many years. Precious Room is my second baby after my son. Everything is done by heart, like your brand. Like all the business is, the beginning is that, from my point of view. After, to proceed to develop the business, of course, it's a process. I analyze the market. I'm working in the trade show since more than 20 years. So I used to work with huge trade show. So I found my company 14 years ago. And after this process of working, traveling, so I said, okay, if I have to create a new concept, I want to do something with emotion and to bring experience. So my concept is broke the code of the traditional trade show, but I didn't do that just for me. I did that for the brands because I analyzed the market in France, but also worldwide. And I saw that there was a lack in terms of promoting new talents, because Precious Room is not welcoming only emerging talent. I also welcome global brands that they are very famous in their country, but they want to come in Paris to shine, to have the capacity to meet the top buyers, the retailers, but also the influencer, the key leaders' opinion and professional, and also press, and also artists, also all passionate of jewelry industry. So my concept is not a traditional trade show, it's a meeting place. So meeting place, it's what we do today together. It's a meeting place. So we just exchange, we talk about our passion, we try to emphasize the business. The process, of course, at the end is to sell and to do money. Of course, we want to achieve maximum what we want to because of the process of selling. But the concept is very special because it's like a concept store. It's editorialisé. As I'm coming from fashion, I understand that there was a democratization that was arriving in the fine and high jewelry in the fashion industry, because we all have our jewels. If we talk together, you will always tell us we have a jewels because of the birth, because of the celebration, because of the wedding, because of the love. You don't want ring because you divorce, blah, blah, blah. So it's about our life, okay? But also there is the jewels for the trends, because we have the style, we have, depending of what we dress, we mix the jewels if we want to have an add value, the personalization. So my concept is about that. I promote emerging but very strong brands that they are passionate, that they are focused on the DNA and what Sylvie knows perfectly, and to have, of course, they have a storytelling, they have the iconic pieces, because iconic pieces is also something that you can recognize. Here we can see iconic brand, and there is also emerging brands. But the process is, when you are emerging, you want always to be iconic, to begin iconic.
And I think the advantage is also it's a curated selection. It's a very small selection. Sometimes it can feel very overwhelming when you come to a big show, right?
Yes, it's only 35 brands in the beautiful place in Paris. I do during high couture and high jewelry week. Why? Because it's pre-collection for the retailers, and I analyze the market also during Paris Fashion Week. It's more complicated because you have a lot of events. You cannot specifically be seen as a new talent because people don't have time often to pass and visit. So this period are super important because 80% of the budget of the retailers are available. So that's something very important to analyze the market when you launch a brand, and to analyze the final consumer behavior, the both.
Yeah. Sylvie, many brands actually have a hard time expressing their identity. What do you think the biggest mistake they are making for them to achieve more success in terms of B2B or B2C penetration? What mistakes do you think they're making?
Very often, emerging brands, they try to mimic a very established brand, to do as if they were already well known. They have a very brilliant photography campaign, very nice identity, but they don't have authenticity. They don't appear, they hide behind the images. They try to have very premium images. And this is something, it's a war that they are going to fail, not to win, because premium brand, they have the budget, they don't have the budget. When you are an emerging brand, your skills and your singularity is your asset. And you have to show exactly what makes your brand different than others. And there is always a reason. When I have a brand in coaching, I explain them, we are going to find your singularity. We are going to find why the thing you are doing by yourself is different on the market. And when you find this singularity, when you find this argument of uniqueness, then you get your reason why. And I always said this sentence of this very famous marketing guru, American guy, Simon Sinek. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And when you do exactly how to explain that, you win. And I have a very short example about that. I worked for a well-known French brand that Muriel knows, Elitop. He's a very talented designer who used to work for Yves Saint Laurent and Lanvin. So his background was in couture work in Paris. And 10 years ago, he decided to build his own universe in jewelry, which was quite a challenge because he was a very talented draftsman and a very big creative guy in couture, but he didn't have any experience into jewelry. And he succeeded because he has such a cultural experience that he creates universe that travels into the centuries from the past to the future. And his universe is very recognizable. And he needed to put it in words, not in a nice sentence, but in a sentence that could make a system of belief. And this sentence was offer the unexpected to create enchantment. And this sentence is his mantra. This is the mantra of his brand. And it summarizes exactly what he does. And what he does is, for jewelry, what he did for couture. But the spirit is there. And when you have this sentence in mind, then you are unique.
And Muriel, from a retail buyer's perspective, how has the situation changed? What are they looking for today in brands? What are their expectations?
The expectation is the add value of the brand. So first, of course, is the product, the creativity, but it's a mix between the product, the price, and marketing. What is important also for the brand is to be informed about the market, the segmentation, the pricing. Often when you launch a brand, you say, Muriel, I'm a designer, I'm not a manager. That's always the dilemma. Because of course, when you work, you have designer, it's a challenge to find the right price, to sell, to deliver, first to produce, to deliver, and to grow. Because from my experience, it's not the beginning that it's hard. Because the beginning, the launching of a brand is always something that you can do. But to succeed in the business development, to grow and to have the continuity, that's the challenge. So the buyer, what they are looking for? They are looking for emotion. We talk about that in the Retail 3.0. We talk about experience and emotion every time you will have this word. Yesterday, in the conference also of Katerina, she talked about emotion. And the buyers is the same. They have everything in their concept store, or they don't need you specifically at the moment of their arriving in the one trade show. But why they will stop? You have always to understand why a person, it's like you manage. When you scroll the Instagram, why you stop? Why you stop? You scroll every day, okay? You scroll. Because you have emotion. The emotion could be positive, but it could also be negative. So it's always about, wow, what this, okay, you can feel also, it could be a smell, it could be visual, but it's something when you work in the trade show, you have always 5 seconds, by experience, to stop or not. Because you will love a color, because you will see something, because you will smell something. Don't forget about the smell, because it's also very important. And example, Precious Room is that. Why they come? Because they know that they will discover, so the capacity to give as you said, the enchantement, the thing that you are, wow. Today we talk about the mind style. We don't talk about anymore about lifestyle. So what is the mind style? I don't invent the term. It's a term of trend office that invent that. The mind style is the capacity to have the emotion when you arrive in the concept store, in a store, the emotion, the pleasure to be there. To be here. And the buyers is the same. They will arrive. Example, Elitop, you arrive. You have the phenomenon of his you bring the dream. Plus you have a product that it's sincerely incredible in terms of production. You have a creativity, and also the two important things that a retailer, we always ask you about the price, always. And in a wholesale price, not retail price. So what is the wholesale? Is the price that they will sell. They will multiply with a percent. Generally, it's 2.5. So between the wholesale and the retail price. If the buyers consider that you are well positioning, they can take the risk. Plus, you have the phenomenon of the marketing. The digital marketing is very important because why? Today, they need to have this emotion also when they scroll your page in Instagram specifically. Think about the video. Don't stay only to the photo because the video brings this emotion. Voilà. So I saw the risk, the buyers take risk when there is the combination of that. And it's also about the designer, the value of the brand, the story. It's something about human. It's not only digital, it's human, it's real.
Yeah. So Sylvie, you come from a family of Kabyle jewelers and you also worked in for Guerlain and luxury marketing. How do you think that jewelers should approach this tradition, emotion, luxury, rarity? Where does the priority need to be set? How do you navigate this?
There is no priority. There is a paradox. I mean, there is a balance between two very important things. Craftsmanship of origin is the basement. It's what makes you unique. It's why your product is different from others. For example, traditional jewelry like Kabyle jewelry, they are ancestral, symbolic, collective. It's not a question of fashion. It exists for centuries, and it's the story of origin once again. So it's really captivating. And even sometimes it's sacred. I mean, it touches something which is next to the soul. So it is what we speak about enthusiasm and the wow effect. It's something that touches you in the heart. On the other side, you have luxury. Luxury is about coherence, ritual, excellence, and transmission. It's organizing the instinct into something that a large amount of people can feel, understand, and communicate about. So for me, this is really a balance between craftsmanship and luxury. And really, the optimum balance that I recommend for brand, it's to put ahead craftsmanship and under the code of luxury, of course. But what I see into the market today, it's very quick emerging brands that have an incredible start, not having, I'm going to this slide because it's those people that I had taken in example in this slide, Vanessa Fernandez, Castro Smith, Kindred Lebec, two are American, Castro Smith is English. They had an incredible awareness today. They started with zero marketing budget. They have an incredible talent into craftsmanship. They do by their own the jewelry. And they started with communicating with this uniqueness and a very authentic communication. And they are also very good on digital, but without budget. They just have put a camera on their hand when they work at the bench. And through this very authentic communication, they started to have a very strong community, and now they are at the stage where some of them start to make very big fair like couture or other shows, and they start to make wholesale for some of them, even if they have unique pieces, but they start to be into the wholesale, and they started with zero marketing budget. So this is really the example of how you start with a uniqueness and your own talent and communicating very simply about this craftsmanship.
Because how would you navigate this, Muriel? The gold prices are very high now. Some retailers in the US have gone out of business and haven't paid designers, Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue, things like that. There's problems with memo, consignments, designers have to have a lot of capital and kind of pre-finance things. How do you navigate this if you're starting your jewelry brand? It's not easy, right?
No, I was just thinking about that. It's not easy. No, sincerely, it's a mess. Specifically, actually, the economy, as we know in Europe and also USA, you know about the problem. Now it's begin to be, I mean, we will see, but it's a challenge. Plus, the problem is the consignment. That's true, because all the retailer will always, if you are not enough establish, distribute, they ask about consignment. So consignment, it means you have to have a stock. So you need to control the production, the sourcing. So it's very costly. So from my point of view, it's depend of each brand strategy. I can see brand that they say, Muriel, we develop their own sales, direct sale with Instagram, e-shop, personal order. They do on demand and they have a lot of cash because they have good clients. If you go to Middle East, all the trade shows are B2C. So some of brand do a lot of money with selling in direct. Plus, at what moment they want to... Of course, Paris is a dream for the capital because it's the capital of fashion. It's a place that we have the global retailers that are coming. But it's true that it's takes time. So I don't want to lie. I'm always honest, even for Precious Room. It's why I said to the brand, you have to be consistent. You have to know that it's not in 2 days, in 4 days that you will have a business. It's to create a link with retailers. It's all about, of course, human relation also, because it's the same everywhere. If we talk about the brand, they always begin with a special contact that they create, and after they begin to be their client, and after they continue, they develop with sales agent, and it's a work in progress. But from my point of view, you can be... Alors, there is a new process to sell today that you have to know. A lot of retailers propose you to do trunk show. I don't know if you know what is trunk show. It's you can be a guest in the amazing concept store, or it could be a pop-up in the department store, and you have to you create a link with the clients of the department store or the concept store, and you do an event, a cocktail, and you sell. Okay, the retailer take a percent. You have the difference, the margins, and you begin to have the fame because you keep the name of the retailers to have a fame. If you sell, example, in Whitebird in Paris, that she's very famous, or if you sell to Marissa in USA, or Stella, that she's there, Stella Fame Gallery, that is a good friend of Kyle, we talk about that. But there is also a new channels distribution. It's the hotel. The gallery and the hotel, luxury hotel, they open a lot of boutique hotel. And when you travel, as you know, and airport also the retail airport are very developing, even if you are a young designer, because they can propose you a pop-up or everything. So there is different things that you can create as an event. Tu vois? So you don't invest a lot, you don't produce a lot, you have your stock, you come, you do an event, you see, and you have the card like something that give you importance. If you sell that you are selling in Maxfield in Los Angeles, or before in Kit in Paris, or Legacy, I can tell you Broken Arm, or this kind of beautiful concept store, you win the direct to consumer, and you grow your community and you sell more. Okay. Tu vois, c'est un mécanisme.
Yeah. And to come back to Sylvie, I mean, we really come back to the why, right? You're not going to get your foot in the door if you don't have the why figured out.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why it's so important to work on that and to be authentic on that, and to try to find your own voice, and not to try to imitate other, or to look like big great houses that have big budget. You have to find your tone of voice. It's always the same thing, and it's difficult for some of them because some of designers, they don't like being in front of the stage. They want to hide behind their jewelry or behind their campaign, or it's more difficult than you think that to be true, to be authentic, because it's being yourself, but with one sentence or one in a spirit that everybody likes or want to follow. And this is the most difficult things to do, and that's why I created my account, because I tell stories that designer don't know how to tell about themselves. In fact, I help them to find their tone and to speak spontaneously about their story and their craftsmanship and their uniqueness.
Well, thank you very much for answering all these questions. Perhaps if there's a question from the audience, we have time for one more question. Otherwise, I'm sure Sylvie and Muriel will be here for another few minutes if you'd like to chat to them about what they're doing and their expertise. Thank you both very much.
Thank
Merci
you
beaucoup.
very much, Laurent. Thank you.